morning, everyone. Welcome, everybody, back to Adobe Live here on Behance.net. My name is Voodoo Val, and I'm going to be teaching challenge number 9, the final challenge of this little 2-week challenge segment that we have had. And I'm super excited for today. I see so many familiar faces in chat. All of my good friends returning to me for the last challenge. Romaine, it's good to see you. Carla, Leopold, Camilo, Austin, Sam, Van Dam. It's good to see all you guys. I'm going to jump into some info on how you folks can get involved with me for this final challenge, and also how you can get involved with all of the wonderful mentors and instructors who will be doing the challenges after me as well in the future. And then we're going to jump into maybe taking a look at some of the wonderful entries you folks have posted into the Discord for this 2-week period, and then we're going to jump into a challenge for today. So if you folks are over on YouTube watching right now, definitely head over to behance.net/live. That is where I'm reading the chat. That is where all of the participants for the challenge are hanging out and chilling with each other. And that is where we are going to be doing all of our broadcasts in the future. All of our design segments, all of our giveaways, and everything are always on Behance. So definitely head over here. No real Val, no real Val today. No purple skin and pointy ears. maybe next time, Noor. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the cosplay stream though. That was a lot of fun. All right, so I'm going to jump over to the landing page real quick, and I'm going to take you guys to behance.net/challenge/Photoshop, which looks like this. And I've showed you guys this every morning for these challenges, but just in case you are new today, this is where you get a little update on what the challenge is going to be for the day. It's also where you can access all the previous challenges, and it's where you can get access to our Discord. So if you scroll down here, you will get a little 1 through 4 on how to get involved. We unlock challenges every morning. As you can see, we've gone through retouching, color replace, content to wear fill. We did some compositing. We used layer mask. We created halftone patterns. We used the mixture brush. Yesterday, we did some 3D text with the 3D settings and features within Photoshop. And today, our final challenge is designing with shapes, which I'm super excited. It says design a geometric album cover by mixing photos and shapes. And there's actually a file for you folks to download because I've created some cool assets for you to use for your challenge entry today. So if you hit that get started button, it will prompt you to download the file that you need. And then I also encourage you to come down here and hit the join us button so you can join the Discord and share your entry for today's challenge with me and with the rest of the community. And that Discord actually looks like this. So many fabulous entries already in here. We got this one. This is from Rit Chat. And he actually is doing the compositing challenge right now, and this just looks fabulous. This is really, really beautiful. Well done, Rit. And we've got some DCC project links here where everyone can check out like the full lineup of everyone's challenges, which this is a great day to be posting that, folks. If you have been working along with me the whole time, or if you're new or maybe have only done a handful of them, start dropping those entries into that DCC project on your Behance and start sharing them so that we can all check out what you did for these 2 weeks. But we got some really great ones. Tan did this fabulous 3D thing here and used the mixture brush as well to make the PSDCC look like balloons, which is just awesome. I would never have thought to do that. That's great. We've got some awesome one from Leah Michelle and Darius. Leslie Higgins did kind of an interesting thing with the 3D challenge where she incorporated some shapes as well as text, so very well done. Got some awesome ones from Jay Mata in here. Matt used the 3D challenge to create an awesome retro wave banner, which is fabulous. I love the made in 1981 phrase here, and it looks awesome. Definitely looks like it was actually made in 1981. Love the aesthetic. We got some more links here to Behance projects, so definitely jump in here and give everyone some appreciation. Karma did a cool one. It looks like honoring his mother here. This is really cool. Carla did one that, a game show one that looks like it belongs on like a blog post for Twitch or PlayStation or something. Like, this is great. But you guys really outdid yourselves, and I'm going to come in here and leave you guys some more feedback later on, but I would like to jump into the challenge for the day before we run out of time here. So what we're going to be doing, like I said, is we're going to be designing an album cover with shapes today, and it's actually a lot easier to do than you might think, especially if you're a beginner and you've never used shapes. Maybe shapes confuse you a little bit. We're going to run through some of the awesome settings with shapes. I'm going to show you how to create a cool geometric pattern or a geometric little mandala effect. And then we are going to supplement it with some of the skills that we learned earlier in this week. So let me page this down. And we're going to jump into Photoshop. So, challenge number 9, this is the file that I have prepared for you. It says open the geometry group for 4 different geometry shapes that you can use for this challenge. So, I have, like I said, created these 4 patterns for you folks, which I will run through real quick. And I made them with our shape tools here in Photoshop. So if you start making yours and maybe you would prefer just to use mine, that's cool too. I highly urge you to get in and use the shape tool and try to create your own and maybe just use these for reference. Or maybe you want to do one that is yours and then you want to use some of my geometry that I've created as well to do some other projects. That's totally fine. These are yours to use. They're totally free. They are my gift to you. So I'm going to show you how I made these right quick. And to do that, I'm actually going to jump into a new project, a new file here, which I have like this, because I want my image actually to be a perfect square so that it's easier to line things up. So this is what I'm going to do. Right here next to me, you can see in my little toolbar here, there is a shape tool. And I can click this here. And there's a rectangle tool, rounded rectangle tool, ellipse tool, polygon tool, line tool, custom shape tool. In there, I can kind of move over so you folks can see it. And there's a lot of different tools in here. And I'll let you sort of experiment with which you prefer most. But I'm just going to use the rounded tool or the ellipse tool and the rectangle tool because those are super easy, basic shape tools that I can jump into, and their use and their techniques and everything are the same as the others. So you guys can dive into different tools as you see fit when you start your own projects. So first, I'm going to grab the ellipse tool. And when you grab your ellipse tool, the first thing that you will see once you start using it is this. And I'm going to change these default settings back to what you will probably see. You'll get a color and no stroke. If you hold shift, it will hold the aspect ratio when you're dragging this out so that you get a perfect circle. And you can also hold the space button while you're dragging that out, as long as you're still holding down your left mouse button, and you can actually reposition that. But that will look like this. It'll fill it with a color. It'll open this little properties panel by default, most likely, so that you can make any edits to your shape in here. And that's pretty cool. And for this project, you can actually use shapes like this. However, what I want to do is I want to create lines. I want to make lines to create the geometry. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say Control Z, and I'm going to back up a little bit. I'm going to turn this fill up here to this little white box with the red slash, because that's basically saying don't fill this with anything. I don't want to fill. And then I'm going to come over to stroke, and I'm going to fill the stroke with black. Just do a black stroke so that I can see where my lines are going. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start sort of combining a bunch of these shapes into an interesting design. So I'm going to hold shift and make this like a proper circle. And you see it doesn't fill it with anything, but it has that nice stroke. So I've got like a nice line going on. I'm going to say Control T so that I can free transform. And I'm going to put this in the center of my piece here. And you'll notice I am following guides. If you're not seeing your guides pop up, these little pink lines, what you probably need to do is hit Control H in order to bring the guides up. And that's how I center everything to make it all look super cohesive and symmetrical while I am working. So I'm going to do this a few times. I really like that large circle shape there. So I'm going to say Control J, which is basically duplicate the layer that I am on. And then I'm going to say Control T, and I am going to hold Shift while I resize this yet again. And I'm going to drag this down so that it is hitting the center mark, and then I'm going to drag in the top while holding Shift to make it only reach the middle point and the top point of our circle here. And then I'm going to say Control J, and I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to drag it down here. Oops, it did not duplicate. There we go. Boom. And I'm going to keep dragging these around. And I might even hold Shift and click both of these layers and do Control J for both of those, and then Control T so that I can maybe rotate all of them. Let's see. I'm going to grab all of this. I think I've got a extra little one hiding under here. I think that's what our issue is. Boom. All right, perfect. Now I'm going to duplicate both of these and rotate them around if I can. Or maybe I'll just drag this one out here like so. There we go. That'll work. And I'm just gonna start bringing them around and creating an interesting shape with all of these that I'm going to use for our piece. And I'm also going to come in here and I'm going to go to the rectangle tool because I want to add a little bit of the rectangle tool to this as well. And I think, let's see, I might actually bump some of these inward here just to make them slightly closer. I'm going to close this tab. Just to make them a little bit closer together. Let's see. I'm going to drag these to the left to make it a little more cohesive. Boom. Let's drag this one as well, maybe in like so. Okay, and now let's use our rectangle tool, and I'm going to hold Shift again because I want this to drag out into a perfect square. I'm going to say Control T, and I'm going to drag this into the center like so, and then I'm going to pull the corners in here while I'm holding Shift to keep that aspect ratio. And I kind of like that. It's not extra fancy, but that will do. So that's how I sort of created like these cool effects with my shape tool. And now we're gonna get a little fancy. We're gonna start adding in some images, and this is how I'm gonna do that. First of all, I am going to grab all of these ellipses and rectangles, and I'm going to hold Shift and click the top and bottommost layer that I want to select so I can get all of these in between, and I'm going to say Control G to group, and I'm going to call this shape. And then I'm going to duplicate that with Control J, and I'm going to say Control E to merge everything within that shape, and I'm going to hide that group. So basically what I've done is I have created all of these are basically on the same layer, but I also have my original group just in case I want to come back and edit those shapes. That's just how I work. If you don't want to do that, that's fine. But that's just, you know, how I like to do things. Is there an easy way to draw shapes in one layer like in Illustrator? Yeah, you can make multiple paths in one area if you prefer. Again, there's a lot of different ways that you can work with shapes and things in Photoshop. I'm just showing you one technique. If you'd like to experiment with other techniques, I sincerely hope you do, because I'd love to see what you create and how you created it in the Discord. But go for it. These challenges are for you guys just to kind of scrub up on your skills and get a little more familiar with Photoshop tools, but you don't necessarily have to do them exactly like I do them. This is just kind of a warm-up and a little demo to help you get started. So now that I have this shape, I'm going to come in and I'm going to try and employ a design skill that we learned earlier in the week, similar to how last week we did some cool retouching challenges throughout the week, and then for our compositing challenge at the end, I tried to use some of those recoloring and retexturing, retouching things into that challenge. Now that we've used a new technique, we've worked with shapes, I'm going to kind of go back to maybe some layer masks from earlier and see if I can combine all the techniques that I have learned for the week. So this is what I'm going to do for layer masks. I'm going to grab this image and I'm going to come over here. I'm going to drop this photo into my file here. Okay. And then I'm going to hit enter. And then I'm going to hide it because I'm going to come over here. I'm going to grab my magic wand tool from above and I'm going to select a little area. Then I'm going to unhide my clouds and mountains picture here. And I'm going to make sure I select it. And then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to hit layer mask like so to mask it into that shape. And then I'm going to make sure that I am selected on my image here, not the mask, and that I unlock the image from the mask. So now when I say Control T, I can actually move this image around in that little space. So I'm going to do that. I really like the way that looks. I'm going to maybe put it on some of the blue mountains. And I'm going to go around here and I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to duplicate this layer with the mask. I'm going to delete layer mask, so it's just my regular image here. And then I'm going to select another place in here. Maybe let's do this one here. And I'm going to come up and I'm going to keep masking and moving this around. Let's say Control T if I can. Make sure I'm selected here. And I'm just gonna keep dragging this around if I can. Let's see. There we go. So I'm gonna say Control T. I'm gonna drag this over to a new spot, and I'm gonna keep filling these shapes with some pretty cool little points, little pieces of this image. And I'm going to do it over and over again. Make sure you're not selected on anything when you duplicate your layer here. You could also keep dragging the same image in over and over again, but I find it easy to just select one of the image mask or layer mask layers and just say Control J. Make sure I right click the layer mask, say delete layer mask, so now I'm just on that image, hide it, go to my shape, select a little area in which I'd like to fill it, reselect my layer here, make sure I unhide it, and then hit that layer mask again. And then I can Control T. Remember, if you do not unlock the layer, it will keep it in that shape, which you don't want. So make sure you unlock this image from the layer mask and select that image so that when you say Control T, you're moving it around within that space. You can even rotate stuff around. It doesn't even have to be 100% like the perfect portion of this image in here right side up. You can do it however you prefer. But I'm just gonna keep like going around and slowly changing that up and filling in all of these little shapes and things until we get a super cool little design here. Let's see. I'm gonna do one more piece and then I'm gonna kind of Martha Stewart you guys and show you what a finished product will look like. Because you folks may actually have more intricate little designs than I do. And even though this one is quite simple, we still have just a few minutes here. And I do also want to upload this to Behance and to Discord to show you folks how I share things. So I don't want to take too much time doing this, but that's okay because I can still demo this little part here. Let's go to layer mask and make sure I unhide that. Let's say Control T. Oops, actually we want to make sure we unlock that and select the image, then Control T, and then we'll drag this around to this right here, which I am loving. There we go. And so I just kind of go through, keep filling those spaces. You can select multiple parts. In fact, I will do that right now for you so you can see how to do that. That is an excellent question, Aria. So say I want to do this. Let's select this. I'm going to hold Shift so that I can keep adding to this magic wand selection. Let's select all 4 of those pieces. Or actually, after we want to do this after we duplicate this layer here. Let's actually duplicate this one because it's right side up orientation. Let's say Command J. Let's delete this layer mask and then hide it so that we can come through here and grab all these pieces like you suggested. And then let's come back up here. Let's unhide this and let's click our little layer mask button. Let's unlock it. Let's select our image and then boom. You're a genius. Pretty cool, right? So that's how you can quickly and more easily get everything situated in there, and you can flip it around and reorient it however you want. But I'm going to grab this over here. This is one that I did previously, and I added some textures and stuff to it. But that is how I did it. Like, this is one that was way more intricate, so I got to add teeny tiny little pieces into all these little tiny windows in this geometry that I created, and then I added some text, and I actually added the image that I used in the back so that it just looks super I don't know, I think it looks a little majestic, right? Like, this could be some kind of indie rock band album cover with like the mountains and the trees in the back next to this little text here. Also, this this font is called Blacklisted, if you folks are interested in using the same font I'm using here. But yeah, you can see how, like, here it looks a little empty, and you're probably wondering, like, how is this going to turn into a cool album cover? Also, what I did here, if I change the color of my background, or actually let's just drop the image into the back, similar to how I have it in the other. We'll just do that like so. And then maybe I will turn the opacity down just a little bit on that. And then what I did here was I selected my shape and I said Control-I to invert. You can also double click this to open up the layer styles. And you could come over to color overlay and maybe sample like a purple color that you prefer, maybe a bluer color or something that's closer to what you're working on in your image. You could also do something like that. That would look pretty neat too. But you can totally customize this however you like, and after you put some time into it, it'll look like an awesome design, just like this. So real quick, I am going to upload my geometric image to Behance. I'm going to say Control S. Oh, I actually already have this saved in here. That's perfect, so we don't have to wait for anything to save. And I'm going to come over to my Behance. Let me grab my window over here. And I'm going to hover over the gear on my PSDCC and hit edit so that I can edit an existing project. And then I'm going to scroll all the way down to the bottom here, and we're going to do what we have been doing all of these days, and that is I'm going to edit my challenge number 9. I'm going to bold it real quick. I'm going to bump it to the center, and I'm going to call this Designing with Shapes. I'm going to add some text here, and I'm going to say, here is the geometric album cover graphic that I created with shapes and layer masks. Boom. And then I'm going to insert media, and I'm going to navigate to my file here, and I'm going to hit my geometry thing, and I'm going to bump that in, and there we go. And while that's loading, I'm going to come over to Discord, and I'm going to hit this little plus button that is right here, and I am going to upload it into the Discord as well. So let me navigate, boom, boom, and I'm gonna put that in there so you guys can check it out. So simple yet so beautiful. Yeah, and that's kind of the deal here, is that you know, there's so many things within Photoshop that are maybe seem a little daunting, but when you really get into the core of the basic tools and stuff, it's really not that hard to create something super neat if you just put the time in and practice a little bit. So thank you folks for joining me. This has been really fun. I can't wait to see what you guys make, and I will be taking off for the day, but we still have a masterclass with Paul Traney coming up later, as well as the XD Daily Creative Challenge. So definitely stick around for that, and I will see you folks next time. Adios, everyone.